Got another picture video that's I'm gonna be reacting to basketball played on my New York Knicks free agency review. Like, comment, subscribe. Let's get it.
Is pretty much over at this point, with all the best guys being pretty much signed already to their respective teams, with the exception of, I think, Anthony Davis and Brandon Ingram. But I find it really hard to see AD leaving Los Angeles and Brandon Ingram. As much as I would like the Knicks to offer him a max, I highly doubt that he is leaving New Orleans. And honestly, to my surprise, the Knicks did not make any big moves that shocked the NBA world. In fact, Leon Rose and the new Knicks front office management showed a lot of great characteristics of a good franchise. They held off on offering any ludicrous contracts to any player, which is always great, as well as signing guys to short-term, team-friendly deals, which is a good look for the future and can set us up for better free agents that are coming up in the next few seasons, since this year's free agency class was pretty weak and underwhelming. But before I break down and grade the Knicks free agency moves, if you do enjoy the video, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel, as it does help my channel grow. I'm trying to reach 1,400 subscribers before the end of November, so any help would be much appreciated. With that out of the way, let's get into the video. So the first major thing that the Knicks did was waive basically half the roster. Bobby Portis, Mo Harkless, Taj Gibson,
They re-signed
Wayne
Alfred
Ellington,
Payton though.
Damian Dotson, and Kenny Wooten are all gone. And they've re-signed Alfred Payton to a 1-year, $5 million deal. Nerlens Noel's to a 1-year, $5 million deal as well. Alec Burks for a 1-year, $6 million deal. And Austin Rivers to a 3-year, $10 million deal. All of these signings were decent, but obviously nothing major. No Davis
We signed and traded
Joe Harris, or
Rivers.
Fred VanVleet, as VanVleet would decide to re-sign with Toronto on a 4-year, $85 million deal, which I think the Knicks could have easily matched or even overpaid for him, but I guess the Knicks didn't have that much interest in him. It was also rumored that VanVleet's agent was just spreading rumors that he was interested in other teams, so he would get more money, when in reality, he was never leaving Toronto in the first place. But after all is said and done, there's really not much you can do, so you just have to stick with what you got. And the Knicks even struck out trying to sign Gordon Hayward, which was a shame.
Gordon Hayward was
I would
trash.
like to see what he would
I didn't necessarily like him. I never liked it.
Hayward played pretty well for the Celtics as the fourth scoring option, but with his absurd contract,
I'm glad we didn't sign his ass.
I can see why the Knicks didn't offer him the same amount. And this is no knock on Hayward, but in no world is he worth a 4-year, $128 million deal. But I guess the Hornets had nothing else to do, so they just decided to give him a fat bag, and I can't really blame him for taking it, because that'll be the last big contract he ever signs. And that's pretty much it for the free agents that the Knicks missed out on, so let's just jump into the Knicks' signings. And the first signing was the re-signing of Alfred Payton to a 1-year, $5 million deal. And Payton is a decent backup point guard, don't get me wrong, but I still wouldn't start him over someone like Frank Ntilikina, just due to Ntilikina needing that extra development, as well as Payton's inability to shoot the ball, and has still shown zero signs of working on his perimeter scoring. Even though at times he would be able to knock down the occasional three, it's not consistent. And even though he lacks in the one category that the Knicks need, Payton is still a good facilitator. He can slash and get to the rim, and he does make the right plays most of the time, but he kind of does lack the defensive IQ, as sometimes he would just leave guys open, and I would be reluctant to put him and someone like RJ Barrett on the court at the same time, just because RJ needs shooters around him to be most efficient. I could definitely see Payton running like the second unit alongside guys like Ignas Brazdeikis and Emmanuel Quickly. And this leads us to the second signing, which was Nerlens Noel's to a 1-year, $5 million deal.
That wasn't bad.
This is honestly a great move for the Knicks, as they don't really need to re-sign someone like Taj Gibson, who is pretty much an old man now in terms of basketball. And with Noel, they get their backup center who can play behind Mitchell Robinson. And you know what?
They need a third center there.
Day in and day out. Just a very tough player who can attack the board, defend well, and finish lobs. Basically things that every backup center should excel at. And I think getting Noel at this deal was such a steal because a couple of years ago he was supposed to sign a massive contract to I think the
Oh, why you let keep buying stuff? Stay on Netflix. You're not going Prime. See it buying stuff.
Dallas Mavericks, but he instead decided to decline that and bet on himself, and that ended up backfiring. So I think it's good knowing that we got a guy that knows his role and will do exactly what is asked of him. I think overall he's just a very great player to have as your backup five. Obviously, Noel can't shoot the three ball, but he can pretty much do everything else that a center should do just fine, and his per 36 minutes are decent as well. Next up, we have Alec Burks, and Burks played well for the Golden State Warriors and
I think we
Philadelphia
signed him
76ers last
to, I
year,
mean, traded
and
him
has
to.
shown that he can be a capable three-point shooter, averaging 38% from three, which is an upgrade over what we have so far. And he's probably going to be the team's sharpshooter who can provide spacing for someone like RJ off the bench. And it's always great to have someone who can shoot the three ball. And now moving on to the last notable free agent signing for the Knicks, which is Austin Rivers on a 3-year, $10 million deal.
Yeah, I think we
Rivers has
signed and
become
traded
a
him.
journeyman ever since coming to the league and has been a damn good one. He played a crucial role when he was on the Houston Rockets and is able to shoot the three ball at an average clip. Obviously, he will never be able to fully run the offense as he's not a pure point guard, and I think playing him at the one position would be a mistake, but playing him as a shooting guard is where I think he would really shine. Rivers can easily become that spark plug off the bench for us as he would be able to space out the floor and even be able to finish at the rim through contact, which is something that he is underrated at. And Rivers' career high was when he was on the Los Angeles Clippers, averaging 15.1 points, and if given the opportunity, I can see him averaging this much with the Knicks if given the green light. And something that I can see the Knicks trying to pull off is trying to trade some of these guys to a playoff contender that needs that extra role player at the trade deadline, like they did with Marcus Morris last season. Obviously, these guys aren't going to have the same value as Marcus Morris, but if a team offered like a second round pick, I wouldn't be opposed to making that trade. Because these guys aren't even in the long term plans of the Knicks and are just trade assets. But that's it for the free agency moves for now, I guess. Unless the Knicks decide to make a big trade for some guy, but I highly doubt it at this point.
Yeah, I
Since
think we
free
signed
agency
like
is
two
almost
overseas
over.
players
So let's just move on to the trades.
for
And the
Rivers.
Utah Jazz just decided to give away Ed Davis and 2 second-round picks for cash considerations, which was definitely a steal because Leon Rose then made the genius move of trading away Ed Davis to the Minnesota Timberwolves for Omari Spellman, Jacob Evans, and a future second-round pick. So essentially, the Knicks just flipped one bench warmer for 3 second-round picks and 2 other bench
That's
warmers.
pretty good.
I don't know about you guys, but I can already see big things ahead in the future under Leon Rose. Because in no world would the old Knicks be smart enough to pull something like this off.
True.
Of course, these are only second round picks, but they could be enough to sway a team in a trade.
Exactly. Michael
Overall,
Jordan was a third round pick. You know, like Michael Jordan was not even a first round pick. He went to third. I mean, he got drafted third. You know, R.J. Barrett got drafted third. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, you can find gems in next year's draft.
I would give these moves a
Okay,
strong B plus or
me
even A
too.
minus because the Knicks didn't do anything stupid. Instead, they actually made some very decent pickups on some very smart deals and made the most out of it.
If you really, if you really turn down the, if you really turn the B sideways, you can actually see it's like a pig's nose or two sockets, plug-in sockets. Cool trick.
The underwhelming free agency class this year in preparation for next year's class. And that wraps it up for this video. Do you think the Knicks made good moves during this offseason, or would you rather them have overpaid for someone like Fred VanVleet? Let me know your thoughts in the
I
comments
think we
below.
did pretty
And if you
good.
agree
I
or
mean, Gordon
disagree with
Hayward was
everything that
trash. He
anything
was
that I
never a
said, thank you for
solid
watching.
player in his career when he was with the Utah Jazz. You know, Van Fleet, I mean, I think the system where he's at right now fits him perfectly. So I think we did pretty good.
Jing, please make sure to leave a like rating if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe to the channel if you
Shout
haven't
out to
already. I'm trying to reach
Basketball
41
Pled.
subscribers before the end of November, and any help would be much appreciated. And be sure to check out my last video if you missed it. I talked about the Knicks drafting Obi Toppin. And once again, thank you all for watching. Catch you all in the next video. Peace out.